Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us on tonight, our Tuesday Business Booster Call. I am Drew, your host, and tonight we have some very special guests. So I will just go ahead and read the bio. So Mark found Mannatech in 1999 after seeing a small advertisement in the back of a monthly spiritual newsletter. He was so impressed by what he discovered that he immediately started sharing the power of glycans and saw wonderful things happen when people supported their health and well-being. His business began to grow. In 2005, he met Steph by chance through her neighbor, who was struggling with her health. He introduced her to Mannatech and its powerful and life-changing nutrition. Thanks to the products, Steph soon regained her health. They married and began to build the business together. They qualified as presidential directors in 2016 and have qualified for every European travel incentive since 2005, as sea, sun, fun, and travel are very important to them. One of their highlights is visiting the beaches of the world with their amazing team. They are honored to have been awarded many business accolades, including Business Builder of the Year in 2008, 2018, 2020, 2021, and recently 2024, plus top European enrollers in 2011, 2013, and 2019. They have also both been awarded the prestigious Ray Robbins Giving Spirit Award. They are proud members of the European Presidential Advisory Council and are passionate about sharing all Mannatech has to offer and helping and supporting their team and the Manna family. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Presidential Directors Mark and Steph Sullivan.
Hey. Good morning from England.
Good morning, everybody. What a privilege it is to be here. We've got a global connection going on, which is absolutely wonderful. 32, 33 degrees today here in the UK, which is absolutely fantastic, which I believe is completely opposite for most of you guys down under. So would you like to kick it? Should we just go for it, Andrew, or would you like to ask some questions?
Definitely. Well, I'll start with our first question. Why Mannatech? Let's begin at the beginning, if we can. We want to know your story.
Well, as you mentioned in the intro, in the mid to late 90s, I was looking for something. I was looking for three things, actually. For those who don't know, I've been a guitar player all my life. I had a lot more hair, going back to the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. And I hadn't really looked after my body for a good 20 years. Yeah, I never did anything really silly, but it was time to take it seriously. You know, perhaps when you get a little bit older, those aches and pains that come and go when you're younger come, and they don't seem to go quite as fast if they go at all. So I was looking for ways in which I could support my health to move into late middle age, into older age, with all the dynamics and all the energy that I'd had as a young man. And the second one, as a professional guitar player, sadly, I never got to play with Ed Sheeran. I was too late for the Beatles. There's quite a few bands that I did miss out on. And the idea of a pension is like a mirage on the horizon of a desert. The nearer I seemed to get to it, the further away it got. So I was looking for ways to support my financial future. And the other really big if I'm honest, I've said that 3 times now, is over those 25 years, my ego had taken over. I realized that I'd spent a good half of my life living it for me. I wanted to be recognized. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be a star. I wanted to be the guy on the stage at Glastonbury with 100,000 adoring fans. And so it was a bit of a Saul on the road to Damascus. I realized that it was time to think about other people. So I was looking for a vehicle with which I could help other people. And as you mentioned, I bumped into Mannatech in a very small advert in the back of a small spiritual monthly newsletter that I saw when I was visiting my parents. I'd been living in France for 20 years, and I went over for a weekend. It's interesting, I don't know if you've noticed, Mannatech tends to find people. I was looking for something, but I didn't know what it was. And there it was, a very small advert, a tiny little thing in the back of this 4-page newsletter, which said, glyconutrients are going to change the world. For more information, call. And I did. And that started my journey. Back then, we could say and read and see a lot more about the wonderful effects that our nutrition was having in the human body. And I remember reading all this stuff, and you think, it's too good to be true. It can't be possible. And my then wonderful upline said to me, it's quite simple. Just get it down your neck, as we say. Just buy some products and start, and you are going to feel the difference. And I did. And well, I'm sure you've all experienced I started to sleep better. My energy levels went through the roof. An old rugby injury in my left knee went and never came back again. I even felt more creative. And that was it. And on the strength of that, I realized that I should share this with people. And so I started to. And back in those days, they sent you a check, which was rather weird. We actually got checks. I'm sure there are people on the calls that remember that. But because I was living in the UK, living in France, they were being sent to the UK where my dad was. And my dad was cashing them, which was rather wonderful. And the joke was with the other guys in the band, especially at my age, they kind of said, what, you can remember who you are in the morning? I want some of this stuff. And it just sort of went from there. And
that was faxing everything as well, wasn't it? You had to fax everything.
Faxing. And just for those, with regards to the system, as I was mostly contacting people in the UK by phone, when they were interested, I'd say, yeah, I'll send you some information. And in those days, the sign-up doc was in triplicate, and also had some of the conditions about how and what and how your rights are. And it looked really scary, so I didn't want to send that. So I'd send a very basic brochure off to the UK, which in those days could take at least a week to get there. I'd then wait a few days for them to see if they were interested. And then I had to send the document to them, which took another week. And then if they were interested, they'd sign, add a check to it because there weren't bank transfers, and then send it to the office. It was taking between 2 to 3 weeks to get somebody on board, guys. And as you know, with the links and the internet and everything now, it can take 2 to 3 minutes if they're sure about what they want and you know how to work the systems. Back in 2002, my whole life changed, and I came back to the UK, and I did all sorts of crazy stuff. I got into some more bands, and I did a bit of couch surfing. I had to leave 20 years of a life behind, and literally arrived in the UK with a bag of clothes and about 17 guitars, as it was in those days.
They're everywhere. They multiply.
And then really, through it once again, a very strange series of coincidences. I met Steph. Through where I was renting a room in a house in Kingston down the road from where I'm living today. And the guy said, I'm going to go and see my bookkeeper. Would you like to come along? We can get some fish and chips on the way. So I said, sure. And there, sitting across the table, looking rather frail, was this beautiful woman who's sitting on my left here, and I think she can pick up the story from there.
So here I was, frail, sitting at my next door neighbour's table.
You were looking pretty frail.
I was frail. Oh my gosh. So yeah, no, it's amazing. I was sick. I know Andrew said that at the beginning, but I really was. I was sick. I hadn't worked for 2 years. I used to be a caterer. I used to work, the normal catering hours, at 60, 70, 80 hours a week in a local private tennis club. I'd burnt out. I ended up being asleep for 20 hours a day. I didn't leave the house other than going to my next door neighbours because that's as far as I could go. I couldn't drive. I couldn't shop. I couldn't do anything with severe fatigue. So literally, when my old manager of the tennis club came to see me and he poured me a glass of water and he said, can you explain how you feel? And I went, you've just poured me a glass of water and I don't think I can lift it. That is how utterly fatigued I was. So when I met Mark next door and had fish and chips apparently, but I don't really remember that, not as healthy an option as I would have chosen today, he just said, I think I've got something that can help you. And that was that. And he bought it for me. Someone said, did you sign up in the business straight away? Did you show the plan? It's like, no. I was completely and utterly at zero. I had nothing. Mark bought me Ambratose plus Catalyst and AO antioxidant. And he bought them, a stranger, bear in mind, I was a stranger, every month. And it was about month 4 that he said, have you noticed something different today? And I hadn't gone back to sleep because we'd started just hanging out a bit because he clearly needed to bring the products around and visit me to check I was okay, make sure I was well hydrated and drinking plenty of water. But we met in August, September, October. He proposed in October and we got married the following June. So basically I woke up and we got married. In a nutshell. And then people sometimes say to me, what did you not how did you find your first customer? And it was, bear in mind, I didn't know anything about Mannatech other than I was taking this stuff. But I started going back out again, and one of my friends said, "Oh, this is great." I mean, I'd barely been out for 2 years. When I met Mark, I was I just nearly 39?
Yeah.
But a friend said to me, "Oh my gosh, you're back out again. What are you doing?" And I was a bit like, "Oh, I've just been taking this stuff." And she said, "I want some." And that was the first person that said they wanted some. I didn't know what the some was. I knew it worked. Didn't know how you got it because I hadn't been buying it. And almost like that's how our business started. So it wasn't a brilliant showing the plan, a inspiring opportunity call. It was just a moment in time, a life-changing moment in time on every level. It's a long starting story, but there you go.
No, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I love the whirlwind romance.
Yeah. Man of love.
Yeah.
We can brand that. Write that down.
From my calculations, that was only 2 months before, was it August to October, you said?
October, he asked me to marry him.
Yeah. Wow.
5 weeks.
Quick mover.
I was nearly 40. As my grandma said, "Well, you're going to be on the shelf forever, Stephanie, unless you find somebody soon."
Oh, no. Wow, that's an incredible story. Thank you for sharing. You touched on the business only starting from your friend kind of just saying, "I want what you want," or what I want what you have, sorry, even. When did you actually start working Mannatech as a proper business? When did it
Well,
turn?
I sort of started going out. I suppose you didn't have the opportunity to do so much online then, if you think about it, 20 years ago. So I started going out and meeting people at networkings, like ladies networking mornings, ladies networking lunches, and just started talking about what I knew so far, in effect. And that's how it started to grow. In other words, this is what it is. This is what makes it very unique. This is what happened to me. And people started to want to try it. So again, it was a sort of it was quite an organic way of doing it, but I was going out and sharing and meeting other people in other businesses, because I'd never run my own business. I was an employee, and I'd always been an employee. So I hadn't got a clue. I remember turning up my first B&I meeting, which was a bit of a like, whoa, 45 people, 5:45 in the morning, but luckily I'm a morning person. But I'd made business cards. I'd got pressed flowers on them. I'd handwritten them, because I didn't know you could print a business card. I really wasn't a business person. I used to make cards when I was traveling a lot. So I quite liked that.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
definitely evolved.
It was an evolution.
That's amazing. I love the fact that you made your own business cards. That's awesome.
I haven't got time for that now, I might add.
No, of course not. So at the beginning, I touched on the fact that you've made, I think, every travel incentive, or almost all of them. And that's incredible. We'd love to hear your approach on incentives. How do you plan for them? How you work them? Do you focus on your team? That kind of thing.
Yeah, well, we've just literally, our European travel incentive starts today. So July the 1st, we have a new incentive, and we're going to be going to Malta. So what we always literally say is, obviously, the people that are building a business that want to go, it's always we like write it up with, I've just written mine this morning. We have qualified for the travel incentive 2025. Wahoo! Put a big heart around it. So every time I walk into my office and look at my boards, which tells me what I need to do, I see that first, and then it makes me go, oh. So you almost like have to tell yourself you've qualified for it first straight away. Whether don't worry about anything else other than know without a shadow of a doubt you are going. So that's always my first incentive tip. The second is, as soon as you've got the criteria, is to print it out and literally read it, study it, highlight it, make sure you understand it, make sure you know where your starting point is. If it says, your business level, it has to be this, and you've got to go up X amount of points by the end of it. Just know it, not go 7 months in, go, oh, I didn't realize that.
Oh, hang on. Didn't unplug it, sorry.
That's all right. Someone's obviously clearly wants to know about the travel incentive because it has just
Yes.
launched. Phone lines are open. And get excited about it. It's about who can you bring with you, because as we said on one of our calls last week, travel incentives are amazing. Like, we love to travel. Mannatech put on very, 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 very good incentives. If you haven't been on one, you're treated so beautifully. But don't come on your own. So if people are newish and haven't ever done one before, then make sure you are sitting down together. It's that, even touch points, it sounds impersonal. It's like just that, be together, like, let's do this. We can do this.
Yeah.
I mean, in Sicily, we had 18 people. Now, we took up a little bit of space on that dance floor. It was a lot of fun. So just be there for everybody. Know that you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Don't think you can't. That's the key for me.
No, Steph is the queen of incentives, really. I follow in her wake, in her jet stream, to be honest. There's nothing like sun, sea and sand that inspires this young lady here. But as you said, it's about the team. It's about inspiring people. One of the interesting ways, or a way I like to look at it, because some people say, oh, I'm going to win the incentive and my business might go up. I say, grow your business and get the incentive as you're doing it, that way round. And we actually had someone in the team, was it 2-3 years ago, won the incentive without even realizing. They had such a successful period with customers and new signups. It was like, wow. we looked at the figures, and it's like, did you know you've just won a trip to the Dominican Mexico?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. No, it was wonderful. What a wonderful surprise to wake up one morning. So as I said, don't see you're going to win your travel incentive, which I believe is called Elevate. It's a small one, but hey, don't say, well, I'm going to go to Elevate and my business will follow. Grow your business, and Elevate will be part of the rewards. And as Steph said, write it everywhere. If you can, if it's your ceiling, stick something on the ceiling. So when you open your eyes in the morning, it says, I have qualified for this incentive, which is absolutely brilliant.
But also, by doing all of the things that we know we should be doing, like making sure people are on a subscription order, because a one-time order isn't going to change their life, but a subscription order is going to change their life, because people need to take the products long enough to see the best results. So it's things like that. You get rewarded for doing the right things that in turn.
Oh, we lost volume, sorry.
So by following the things that we know we should be doing, the subscription orders, for example, that in turn can turn into points for the incentive.
No, absolutely.
And track them. Track them.
That's
Don't wait.
I remember one of the first, it was the first incentive we went to. I'll be honest, prior to that, they always seemed so daunting, and there was that 100 points to get, or whatever it was. And I remember Steph said, we are going for this. This was in 2006, wasn't it? Yeah, it was the first one. We're going to go for this. I'm going, great, and we got a point out of 100 points. I can't remember what it was for, a sign up or a good customer. And she wrote it on the board. She crossed out 100 and put 99 to go. And I went, but it's only 1 point. She said, yeah, but that's 1 point nearer the incentive. It was great, honestly. Yeah. This is positive. She just blew me away.
So, got to play mind games with yourself.
Yeah.
100%. I think that's something that we recently learned at our Elevate incentive just been, was the power of visual thinking and telling yourself that you are going to be doing that, or you are that. So yeah, that is fantastic.
We met Cole on our first manifest. You see, incentive winners to manifest. There he is in that car. We danced hard, that incentive, I might add.
Fantastic. And with the incentives, do you normally aim to get a couple of your team members there, or
everybody?
Yeah. Hear that? You want to bring
no
people.
one gets left behind.
Awesome. Yeah. That's fantastic.
As long as they want to do it, that's the thing. You can't, I'm quite strong, but I can't carry everybody. You know what I mean? It's a bit like people have got to want to do it, and you have to make an effort.
Yeah.
They're not, they're not giving them away. I'm sure people have done incentives before, gone for incentives. You really, really have to work. You have to focus. and not give up, not go, oh, we're halfway through, I've only got 10 points, I need 160 points, I'm going to give up now. Don't give up. See it that you've just started that day. Right, I've got another 6 months ahead, or I've got another 3 months to do it.
Yeah, I'd like to add quickly one of the legends over here in Europe, Bo Alex. I don't know if any of you haven't heard of him or know of him.
Yes, yes.
Up in Sweden. We met him in Morocco on our second or third incentive. But all of a sudden, there's this guy called Bo and his beautiful wife called Helen. And we never heard of him. We hadn't heard, there was no buzz about this guy doing really well. And I spoke to him and he said, I said, when did you join Mannatech? He said, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. And I said, well, and you're here? He said, yeah. Our then manager, Colin, said to me, if I can sign up 10 All-Stars, and guys, in those days, that was a £650 pack. So that's a $900,000 pack. He said, if you can sign up 10 All-Stars in a week, you can come. And he did.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
So as I said, it's better to do it over the long term, but it can be done in the short term for sure.
Excellent. Yes, and our All-Star pack, I believe, was 1,300.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And quite a few people on the call tonight used to sell them quite easily.
Yeah. Well, that's right. If you do, don't you? If that's what you do, you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Bonus question: what was your favorite incentive and why?
Well, do you want to go first?
Oh no, I'm going. We can't say that one. What about that one? What about that one? What about that one? It really was. It's like, can we quickly tell a few?
Okay. Yeah. Maybe
quickly. Honestly, highlights going to the soup kitchen in South Africa to Sir Lowry's Pass to see the children getting their one meal a day was amazing. It really was. That was like life-changing, getting their fighter blend stirred into their meal. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Watching the pelicans feeding off the coast of Cozumel in Mexico whilst we're sitting having breakfast. Beautiful.
Yeah, wow. No, absolutely. I'll do two. We went to Las Vegas. I can't remember when it was. That was the incentive also for Manifest. And we were privileged to go with 5 members of the team. It was whoever qualifies first gets a special bonus. And the special bonus was the helicopter ride from Las Vegas into the Grand Canyon, to land in the Grand Canyon and have a champagne breakfast and then fly back later on just as the sun's coming down. And as we were landing, there were flowers everywhere. And the guy said, you have hit it just on the head, because most of these cactuses and these other flowers only flower in a 2-week period in the year. So out of 52 weeks. And as we landed, we could you think the Grand Canyon is pretty grand.
There's no one else in sight.
There was no one else in sight. And then later on, as we're flying back into Las Vegas with Sweet Home Alabama on the headphones, as the sun's going down over the strip, it was just memorable and so beautiful to be there with the team. And the other one very quickly was when we went to Punta Cana, which is in Dominican Republic a few years ago. We went to what they call a point of hope. Manna Relief is working with kids around the world, and they were building a playground. We got involved in building a playground there for these kids, which was phenomenal. And you think, hey, it's a playground, but man, you should have seen what they had before. A few old tires and a swing that was so rusty, it would have been declared a danger zone anywhere in Europe. And these kids, and it'd been turned into a top-end, amazing, reconned American-style playground. And we had there was an opening, and there were some dignitaries from the local mayor and the local people from the Dominican Republic. And what touched me the most, and it makes me want to burst into tears every time I think about it, is that through a translator, one of the young, tiny little orphan girls who was there said, what's so lovely about this is that I know that people somewhere around the world that I will never meet care about me. Guys, that is the power of what we do amongst everything else. So for me, that was just the highlight of it, really. I'll stop there before I burst into tears.
No, I'm tearing up. Stop.
But yeah, that's the power of what we do.
Yeah. That's amazing. Wow.
Thanks for asking.
Oh yeah, goosebumps. All righty. Okay, so we've talked about the good stuff and the fun stuff. After 20 years with Mannatech, what are some of the habits or practices you're still doing today that you started with? So in other words, what foundational business habits have stood the test of time?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I know there's quite a few, aren't there? No, for me, it's the value of what we have. It overgrows, it goes over everything. It's something more than you can possibly imagine to give people. It's great to have checks that come in or bank accounts to suddenly start filling up. But when someone sends you a text to say, hey, I can lift my right arm up now, or my mum's just cancelled that knee operation, or my son's eye has healed up when they said it wouldn't. Those are the kind of things. I know it's not, I mean, that's not really a business advice, but it's all about holding, it's the power of what we have, guys, this huge gift that we have to share. That's, for me, is something that I always carry in my heart every time I leave the door.
And sharing it. I mean, consistency.
Yeah.
That's it. The key, practice. What are we still doing that we did then? Consistency. Consistency. It's not like, oh, I'll do it next week, or won't do anything this week. I might do it at the end of the month. It is literally like focused consistency, daily practices, adding names to your list all the time through whatever means is working for you. Is it social media? Is it networking? Is it lists? Is it whatever it is? I like networking. Straight after this meeting, I'm going to a ladies networking. I'll maybe be 12 or 15 people there. I've got my stuff packed. I'm taking some products with me. I'm taking some information with me, but I'm there to share Mannatech because that's what I do. I don't sit around and think, I'm not going to do that this week. It's like, it's really, really important because if we're not sharing it, who is?
Yeah.
If we stop talking about amber toes, who is? They're not going to hear about it from anyone else. So it's a bit like, some people say, why do you do it? I do it because I was asleep on my settee for 20 hours a day for nearly 2 years and no one could help me. But that one chance encounter I could only go next door. I think I've got something that can help you. What if I hadn't seen Mark that day? Yeah. What if he hadn't bothered to open his mouth because he thought I might say no? It's like, that's given me goosebumps. It's that we have got to talk about it. Yeah. Everything. Yeah. And get off our asses. Get off our asses. Yeah. My bubble came first and then it came out my mouth.
I think it's, to quote the Winston Churchill, don't never, ever, ever, ever give up. Just know that you're going to do it and do everything you have to. It's interesting, they often talk about, would you walk across a plank on the floor? Yes, I will. Would you walk across a plank on 2 chairs? Yes, I would. Would you walk across a plank between 2 stepladders? Yeah, but carefully. Would you walk across a plank between 2 buildings? Probably not. But if the building was burning and there was a baby or somebody on the other side that needs to be rescued, you wouldn't hesitate. So you have to find that inside you. We all face our fears when we're talking to people, all the fears of the rejection, the little people inside us which says, oh, and all that kind of thing. But so what I'm trying to say is you have to decide that you're going to do it whatever. Ian Harvey is a great example of that. He just goes for it. Dear old Ian, he doesn't consider,
You might say less of the old.
Yeah, okay, you're right, okay. Figure of speech. But I'm trying to put it into words because I get so excited, especially I've just had a greens and reds on top of a cup of coffee, man. This is incredible.
You're charging.
I'm charging. Just, how can I underline that? Do you get it? Can everybody nod if they get what I'm trying to say, sort of thing?
Definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely. And we have a saying here in Oz, or in Australasia. It's piffo. Pull your finger out.
Say that again. Piffo, what does that mean?
Pull your finger out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pull your finger out. I like it.
We like to say that every so often. No, that's fantastic. And so basically the advice is do something every day.
Yeah.
You've got to be doing it every day.
Yeah, that's the one. Thank you.
With focus.
What's the best piece of advice you would give someone who is currently building a Mannatech business?
No, you can do it. Yeah, no, you can do it. No, you can do it.
Once again, it's back to how you feel. Yeah.
Anyone can do it. Everyone can do this. You don't need any prior experience. I was a caterer, never heard of network marketing. Mark's a professional guitarist.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, I think that's it. No, you can do it. You really, really, really can do it. And no, ask for help. You're not on your own. Don't be on your own. Ask for help. If you're struggling, ask for help. Because often as an upline, unless someone says to you, I'm really struggling, or I'm drifting around a little bit, you don't know. I mean, we're not psychic. I know we reach out to people all the time saying, "Are you okay? Do you need a hand? You know, do you want to get together? Do you want to put in a home meeting? Should we come and help?" But really, really, you know, if you're struggling, ask. Really, really ask for help. And there's plenty of people, you know, probably upline, cross line, sideline, cross country, that will help.
Yeah. I'd like to add, well, on the practical.
I can't remember what the question was.
Advice for a newbie.
Advice. Learn the basics, guys. Learn and know the basics, because if you do, you don't ever have to go back to them, which is absolutely wonderful. The Wheel of Fortune, as we call it, which is the four basics. Know them. Has anyone read Go Pro by Eric Worre? For us, it's the ultimate handbook for network marketing. I know it doesn't address social media and the use of the internet, but as a basic starting point, it's absolutely phenomenal. So and also be ready. In the past, there was times when I'd really bust my ass to get a meeting with someone, and somewhere along the line I wasn't really ready. I remember I chased this Greek nutritionist, who was in Harley Street here, which is the big place where all the top, you know, medical advisors go. He also had practice in Athens. He'd written 3 books. And if I'm honest, I went out partying the night before.
Whoa, Mr. Sullivan.
This is honesty. This is in the very early days, because I thought I was ready. I didn't do anything silly. It's not like I turned up with a hangover, but I went to bed quite late. And this guy, and I wasn't ready to talk about the business in depth. And he wanted to know about, and by the way, in those days, there was 18 ways to earn with the Mannatech compensation plan, 18, which was insane. And I could get 2 or 3, but because he asked me, I sort of stumbled all over the place. He wanted to know how the money worked, which is great. So really have that. If someone says to you, they might not ask about the products, and sorry, I'm waffling on a bit, but just know how to explain how the money works, or how you might. I say to someone, well, join our team. We'll get you on the team. We'll help you choose products for something which is going to be great for both you and your family. And then we'll work together to introduce your customers, to get you up to this thing that we call the Magic 500, which is your PPV. And then we work together to introduce 4 people who will do exactly the same thing. And if they say, yeah, well, what do? They do exactly the same thing. And what do the other people do? They do exactly the same thing. You know, keep it simple. And if they need to find out exactly how much they're going to earn, you can show them. If you have 6 ways to earn, I know it probably needs to be updated, but there's some stuff that would really need to, you know, this just a basic way of explaining. And one thing I'd like to add: when you've asked somebody something, to see something, or to listen to something, or come to something, I suggest you add at the end whatever you said. And I know there's something there, or something you'll see. There's something there that you will find really interesting. So you're complimenting them. So when you get to the end, you can give them a get out. It might not be for you, but I'm sure there's some parts of it that you will find really interesting. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and follow up. And honestly, they're saying that, like, have a meeting, book a meeting, bam. So if you've had a meeting with somebody, or you've shared something with them, put in a follow-up time. Because if you leave it all floaty, like, okay, well, I'll get back to you never, blah, blah, blah. Suddenly there's too many people, and you actually can't get back to them because there's too many people. But if you say to them, you know, I'm going to send this over now, you know, do you think about to watch it in the next couple of days? Because it'd be great to have a follow-up call. Is Friday good? I've got some, you know, Friday morning, maybe late morning, or, you know, sort of try and find a time that you put in with them. And it might change, and they might change it, and that's fine. But if you leave it so open with no little bit of, with kindly, should we get together? Not a like, well, when are you going to watch it? Or why haven't you watched it? You know, it's nothing, you know, because remember, it's all a little dance, but put in a follow-up time, because it really helps have some structure. And then they know there's a bit of a, okay, well, I said I'm going to watch it, so therefore I will. And I know we're going to talk about it on Friday.
Yeah.
And take notes. Yeah. I'm a big note taker. Yeah. So anytime you're talking to anybody, however wherever you use notes, and I'm a paper girl, I'm a paper diary girl. I'm so not techie. I was in a this morning. where's this link? How do I find it? It's like I have to search my emails because I'm not quite good enough. I haven't quite worked out how to put it into a Google Calendar. But I take notes and then I read the notes. And then when I'm talking to that person next, I can go back to what we've talked about because you can't remember it all. And the little things are really important.
Yeah.
I think
No,
we're
that's
floating
fantastic.
around that question.
But
whatever
no,
it
yeah,
was.
well,
Yeah, no, that was perfect. I'm going to chuck a worldly question in now, one that I hadn't sent you. Sorry.
A whirly question.
good.
I don't know, just I'm going to throw a new question in there that I
Oh,
hadn't.
good.
I just, what was the biggest challenge that you faced in your business, and how did you overcome it?
Whoa. Yeah.
I think.
Well. No, yeah. There's two. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Ladies first. Sorry. Gentlemen, Mr. Sullivan.
I think when you've worked with somebody or you've worked with people for a long time and they've got a great business growing and then they suddenly decide to quit.
Yeah.
That is, there's no doubt about it. That is a hard one, but it happens. So almost not be necessarily be ready for it, but it happens. You know, so even though you think that everyone's going to be doing this forever and ever and ever, and everything's going to be rosy forever and ever, it isn't necessarily for whatever reasons. So I'd say that's.
You said discipline. You know, it's that discipline your disappointments. Be ready for it. There are ups and there are downs, but then there are in everyday life. But as Steph says, be ready for it, and it can really hurt, which is funny. But hey, on the practical level, when we did, well, I don't want to mention politics, but let's say when Brexit was kicked in, and all of a sudden we weren't part of the European Union anymore, there was a huge mess up. Our warehouse was on mainland Europe in Holland, and there was a huge mess up between the computer systems over here in the companies that were delivering, in the delivery people over here, and what was going on from the Netherlands. And it confused the whole system, including the English customs. We had no deliveries for 3.5 months. Nothing.
That was hard.
Chris at the time said 450 parcels just disappeared off the system. Because I think it was DPD, which we have over here. If the parcel isn't delivered within 3 days, it gets a return signal. But then if the parcel isn't there, it just gets lost. These things just went out the window.
We were selling OnePlus for £150. Anyway.
That's just one pot. That's not a pot.
Not a pot.
There were two things that came out of this. One was the team. Our team. These amazing people, and there's some people on with us today here. Everybody kicked in. If someone had a spare pot, they shared it. If someone had 10 plus, they shared it. There was more cross-lining sharing. Well, cross-lining, it's all in the group, but you understand there was more sharing in the group of products for those people that really needed it. Yeah, and absolutely stock up. Yeah, those people that had it. So that was really heartwarming. And the other thing is, hey guys, Mannatech never stopped paying the commissions on product that weren't even leaving the warehouse.
For 4 months.
For 4 months. That is
everyone got paid.
That is the power of this company. That is the heart of this company. I'm just getting goosebumps just thinking about that. How cool is that? I mean, so that was kind of hard, and what a beautiful
Catherine went bald.
Catherine lost all her hair. Yeah.
No, she didn't. Just teasing. We all did.
That's when mine came out then.
Yeah, that's right. Get long flowing ginger hair before Brexit. I mean, now look at them.
Yeah, Robin, there's no company like it. Absolutely. To say that, it's an understatement. The heart of, I mean, how amazing is that? Yeah.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Before I ask you for your final words, what band did you play in, Mark?
Oh, blimey. Well, I started off in a band called Window here. I went professional when I was 21, which meant that my girlfriend had a good job so she could pay the rent and the beers. But yeah, I went professional with a band called Window in '76. Got a deal with Rod Stewart's record label. I don't know if you saw him at Glastonbury. How incredible was that? And then moved on to a band called the Decoys. And then and then having spent 5 or 6 years driving up and down the M1 in old vans, and basically if you didn't, well, I think it's appropriate in those days, if you didn't pull at a gig, you ended up sleeping in the van. seriously, I hope that's not offensive to everybody, but the 70s was a different time from these days. But hey, honesty is the best policy. Hey, the cool thing.
I thought I was your first.
Yeah. I went to France. Here's a good story. I went to France in 1982 for a weekend. So I'll keep this. I'll keep this short. I promise.
Right.
I went to France for a weekend and stayed for 20 years.
Wow.
Someone offered me a great gig on the Sunday, and by Wednesday I was in a band. And I went from all this up and down trying to. I worked with 5 #1 artists. You probably never heard of Gesh Patti or Gérard Blanchard and various other people like that. Murray Head, you might have heard of him. I did some backing vocals on one of his albums. And my big claim to fame is I recorded some guitar on an album for Ray Charles back in the late 80s, which was rather cool.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I'll find some YouTube footage.
it does exist. It does exist. Yeah.
Get ready to hold your sides.
We're all searching now.
Yes, yeah, I was about to say, I think I'm going to just start searching now.
You've got work to do. New month.
Yeah. So I just want to finish up with any final words that you'd like to depart with the group before we ask them if they've got any questions.
Well, no, I'd just say be grateful. Be grateful for each other. Be grateful for your beautiful teams. Be grateful for Mannatech. Be grateful for your support, your corporate support, as we are ours. And just don't sweat the small stuff. You know, don't sweat the small stuff. Life's too short.
Yeah.
I think that's mine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What was it? My favourite quote from Winston Churchill, which is a bit deep, but he talks about truth, and I refer to our Mannatech truth because we've been through all the ups and downs and all the naysayers and all the broke brother-in-laws and all the people that know better than us. So I'll finish with Churchill said, "The truth is incontrovertible. It can't be changed," he says. "Malice may attack it, and ignorance may deride it. But in the end, there it is." I mean, that's my favorite quote of all time. And that's our truth, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Will someone take a picture? Because I haven't got my phone
Oh,
around.
yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I've taken some already.
Have you?
Yes.
Excellent.
So we can send those through then.
Thank you.
They're $5 a picture.
Before I let you run off and start your day of business, can I open it up to the group if they've got any questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
People have already asked us to ask you back on a call. I've said the chat's kind of gone off and said. And while we're waiting to see if anybody does add a question, can I just say it feels like a very international call because obviously our New Zealand guys are in the house and it's almost 10 o'clock. South Africa is here. Darren is on the call. Carlos is in Spain. And then we've got Carl, Catherine and Alison in the UK. So that's all the Aussies. So, and I can honestly say on an awful dull, gloomy night in Australia, you brought a lot of joy into our lives in a horrible cold miserable evening. And it's been incredible. Like truly.
Honor. Honestly, we were honoured to have been asked to come on. Thank you. It really is. I'm delighted. It's great. It's just great.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Awesome.
And this is not a dating agency, everybody. Let's just be clear. If you had any ideas, it is not. I could see some of the brains ticking over going, who am I going to meet on the next incentive?
Yeah, look for sick girls. Wake them up.
I did see somebody ask the question. I'm trying to find, I think it was, there it was. Do you use a presentation when you meet with people?
I don't. I just talk. I listen. I ask questions. Do you know what I mean? I don't. And we do have a what we call like a 3 pillars of Mannatech. So it's almost like what are the 3 pillars? Mannatech, direct sales, M5M, and the bit about the business. So we do have something that you can draw out if you wanted to draw something out that people know and they've got it with them. But it just sort of, I don't know, it just feels, you need to do what feels right with the person sitting in front of you so that it's not weird.
Yeah. Have your story ready, guys. Have a story.
And other people's stories.
Yeah.
So collect stories.
But from a starting point, I wanted to say that earlier on, but we were getting so excited. in the early days, I used to blurt out, so what's this all about? Oh, well, glycogen, cell surface, I'd be stumbling over myself. And then I got a story, and I'll say, is it okay if I tell you my story? And they laugh, and they say, well, as long as it's not more than 2 hours long. And I'll say, I'll do my best to keep it under, And then it's got us starting, and I said, back in the late summer of '99, as I was boarding a plane in Bordeaux in France, where I'd been living for 20 years, I was flying back to England to see my parents for the weekend. Little did I know that something incredibly small was about to change my life in ways that at that time I could not have believed were possible. Once you have a start, then you're confident. You get it's an old trade thing. Always know the first song you're going to play in the set. It certainly helps.
Or you look really silly.
And it's the same idea.
Booed off.
So I can't try and get it down in two minutes if you can, guys. I think when I first wrote it out, I was about 18 minutes in, and Steph said, sweetheart. So yeah, know your story, guys. Know your story. Keep it simple. Keep it exciting. Yeah. And if you don't have a story yet, use someone else's.
Right, that's right, Cole.
Use someone else's.
Yeah. Awesome. And yeah,
we'd love to hear all of your stories. We don't know all your stories, you see. All these beautiful people on the call. We don't know any of your stories.
We don't have the time, sorry.
No, not now. Maybe another time.
Well, we know Cole's, we know Alison's, we know Carlos's, we know Catherine's.
Yeah, but I'm talking about your streams.
I know. But yeah.
I can't see any other questions in the chat. Do we have any other questions from the field? Get them on a call.
Get them on our calls.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we will. Good idea. We'll ask.
Oh, all the Australians?
Yeah.
I want to say thanks.
Thanks.
That was just totally amazing. So encouraging, so inspiring. Love you both. Thank you.
Oh, you're a sweetie. Thank you so much. Mwah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
What were the 4 lines? Sorry, Dita, I didn't see which ones.
Piffo.
Yeah, can Mark repeat the 4 lines? Is that the story, Peter?
Yeah.
What's the question?
No, I saw it. I wasn't sure. Oh yeah. Oh right. Blimey. Yeah, I'll do it slowly. You can look it up. It says. Right. Hang on. Sorry. Where did it start?
Remember it again?
Yeah, it's my favourite. No, you put me on the stop. Yeah. Like the truth is incontrovertible. Can't be changed. The truth is incontrovertible, and I'm referring to my own personal truth, which is my Mannatech truth. The truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it. Ignorance may deride it. But in the end, there it is. Yeah, love it. Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Deep.
And in the end, it is. I mean, it's beyond. I think it's my mantra really for everything in this world today, because it seems kind of crazy what's going on. So just hang on tight.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
Beam love.
And beam love. Yeah, exactly. If we can make one person's day slightly better, like with a smile or a thank you or a hello or how are you? Yeah.
Can you say it as Winston Churchill?
Yeah.
No, Cole.
Don't get me started, Cole. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, we'll send you a voice note.
I probably could actually if I worked on it.
All
right, so next time we'll be asking that one then. Awesome. Well, I think that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, Mark and Steph. It's and being so candid about everything. It was absolutely fantastic. So from all of us here in Oz and New Zealand and Singapore, have a great day. Thank you very much.
And guys, if we can do it, anybody can. Say that again. If we can do it, anybody can.
That's it. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Have a great night, everyone. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.